Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the in-depth series. We are going to discuss a very important issue from the perspective of your GS mains paper 3rd. The issue is important because we are going to talk about a virus which can never be cured. See, viruses are such clandestine beings that it is very hard to find a cure for it, especially if I talk about HIV. Okay, so another person cured of HIV seems to be cured. We are going to discuss these many things, so it is going to be very important for you to pay attention to each and every part from the perspective of GS mains paper 3rd and the preliminary pattern. Now, a 53-year-old man from Germany, Dusseldorf patient, the name was given as Dusseldorf patient, he seems to be cured of HIV, which is very unusual. The virus is not detectable in his body even after 4 years of stopping the medicine that he was taking. This was achieved with a bone marrow transplant from people who were carrying a specific HIV-resistant genetic mutation. So there was a genetic mutation in the person who donated the bone marrow for this person, because he was also suffering from cancer. This person was also suffering from cancer. Moving on. Now, HIV, what is it? It is a disease, simple, but it attacks CD4 in the body's immunity system. CD4 is a white blood cell, the T cell specifically, if we have to say. T cells basically are those cells that move around the body like a police, which detect any sort of anomalies if there are in the body. If you do not have proper T cells, your immune system gets weak because T cells are not there to inspect your body, and then when you have any sort of disease, it becomes really impossible, or there is a very short chance that you will diagnose it at an early stage. After entering the body, HIV multiplies itself and starts destroying CD4 cells. Once the virus enters the body, it can never be removed. And CD4 cells, if they get reduced, T cells get reduced, your immunity gets damaged. In a healthy body, the CD4 count is between 500 to 1600, but in an infected body, it can go as low as 200. Moving on. Now, according to the India HIV Estimation 2019 report, the estimated adult HIV prevalence trend has been declining in India since the epidemic peak in the year 2000, and now it has remained stable. And in 2019, HIV prevalence among adult males was estimated at 0.24%, among adult females at 0.20% of the population. And there were 23.48 lakh Indians living with HIV in 2019. Maharashtra had the maximum numbers, after it was followed by Andhra Pradesh and then finally Karnataka. Stem cells. Let's talk about stem cells. Stem cells are special cells. They can make copies of themselves, and they change into many different kinds of cells that the body needs. So this is a very, it's IAS. It's an IAS officer, very generic in nature, as in it can be a master of everything in the body. There are several kinds of stem cells, and then they are found in different parts of the body at different times. And cancer treatment can damage the hematopoietic stem cells. These stem cells are stem cells that turn into blood cells. Okay. Moving on. Now, if we talk about who are the other people who have been cured of HIV, see, referred to as the Berlin patient, Timothy Ray Brown became the first person to overcome HIV. Interestingly, he underwent 2 stem cell transplant in 2007 as well as 8 for treating his blood cancer. Now, the donor who donated the copies, bone marrow, the donor carrying 2 copies of CCR5 delta 32 genetic mutation, this was the person who gave the bone marrow to this person. And because of this, we could see that after the treatment for blood cancer, he remained HIV free till his death due to cancer in 2020, but he was not completely cured of cancer. Years later, researchers announced similar results in the London patient Adam Costello in 2019, who underwent a similar bone marrow transplant for cancer only. 2 other cases of the City of Hope patient and New York patient were also reported in 2022. Now, the transplant in the New York patient, it was done using a dual stem cell therapy. That means using stem cells from the umbilical cord of a neonate, then complemented it with the stem cell from an adult. So it's like a cocktail that requires less restrictive HLA matching so that infections do not arise. Now, it may help people from if we talk about this particular achievement, the implication, if this is a sure shot cure, then it can help people from different races get transplant with CCR5 delta 32 mutation. Now this mutation is generally found mostly in Europeans. The donors are going to be less though. Now human immunodeficiency virus attacks the CD4 immune cells in the body, which reduces a person's ability to fight infection. The CCR5 receptor on the surface of the CD4 immune cells, they act like a doorway for HIV virus. However, the CCR5 delta 32 mutation, it has certain thing that is excessively immune from HIV infection, and this is very helpful. Now only 1% of the people in the world carry two copies of CCR5 delta 32 mutation. That means we have lesser number of donors as compared to those infected by HIV. Another 20% carry one copy of the mutation, and that is coming from European countries. Those with the mutation hence almost immune to the infection, although some cases have been reported. Okay, moving on. Now mutation, which if we talk about, is this the way forward for treatment? See, mutation exists in very few people. First that. So there is a mismatch, demand and supply. Nearly 38.4 million people have HIV across the world, and it is very difficult to find a donor for every one of them. Mutation occurs mainly among Caucasian, another problem. Now the donor pool shrinks further because of this, especially because of it is just found in one sort of race, and countries of the countries in which there is a high prevalence of HIV, they are generally the poorer countries in Asia and Africa. It is a major procedure. Other than that, the transplant, it has high risk associated, and especially it is from the person who on which we are going to transplant the bone marrow. That person's body reject it. There is also the likelihood of the virus mutating in a new form and then entering the person's immune system. So these are the risks which are associated. But a Chinese scientist called 𝐿 edited the genomes of twins Lulu and Nana to remove the CCR5 gene in an attempt to make them immune to HIV. Their father was an HIV impacted person. He had created the first genetically edited baby. He claimed so in October 2018, but the scientific community and the legal community, they started thrashing the person because the guidelines for genetic edited, they prohibit germline editing. What is germline editing? That any sort of editing which has been done in the baby can be passed on to future generation, and we do not know the long-term implications of such editing. So that is the problem. An antiretroviral therapy could anyway have prevented mother to child transmission to HIV. There was no need to edit the baby's genes. Okay. Now, right now there are no cures for the infected patients if we talk about HIV, but the disease can be managed, regulated using antiretroviral therapy. Okay. And these medicines, they suppress the replication of the virus within the body, stop their replication so that they do not damage the T cells. Although earlier the drugs were given only to those with low CD4 count, but according now the government program has outreach to many other. Program supports anyone who has been diagnosed with HIV. Okay, so I hope you are understanding all this. The drugs have to be taken for life because the virus continues to persist, and if you stop it, then nothing can be done. If the drugs are stopped, the virus can again start replicating and spreading, and then if it is left untreated, then the virus destroys a person's immune system. When the immune system gets weakened, then you are very you have a lot of chances to be infected. Okay, and they are said to be in when this happens, they are said to be in the acquired immunodeficiency syndrome stage, that is AIDS, and where they get several opportunistic infections. The virus makes your body so weak, then the virus has the chance and the opportunity that your body gets infected and then you die. Okay, so this was all for today. That's it. Thank you so much for watching.